Do you want to do the newspaper of record at the end? Do you want to do them now? What's the group's pleasure? Do it now?
We're moving down the list. Let's just do it.
At our last meeting, we opened the sealed bids for our let's see, is that right, Jay? We want to select that.
Right, we need to vote and approve a newspaper of record. Both entities in town qualify under the law as a newspaper. So I would think we would choose one of the two newspapers as our newspaper of record. And then what we have is the secondary publications in the event of a disaster. As far as I know, we've never used it, but we always name 3 other newspapers just in emergency.
Okay, thank you. Attorney Smith, do you feel we need to go back over those prices? Are we good?
I think they've all been read. If anybody has any questions, we can certainly read them or summarize them again.
Okay.
All right, so I'll move that we accept the bids as presented, and the low bid was to the Sentinel. So I move we accept that as a newspaper. Sentinel, I mean. Accept that as our newspaper.
I'll second the motion. It's been moved and seconded to let the bid to the Sangre Crystal Sentinel as our newspaper of publication. Discussion? Yes, sir.
I'd like to make a comment if I may.
Okay, sure.
First of all, I'm going to recuse myself from the final vote because at one point I represented the Wet Mountain Tribune in this exact discussion on point. And I feel it'd be a conflict of interest if I voted.
Okay.
But I would like to make a comment, which I am allowed to do, that is not
No.
that is not a conflict of interest. First of all, the state statute says that the maximum amount that can be charged is 44 cents.
Yes.
If you add both papers, the bids for both papers, and I really appreciate the Sentinel stepping up and offering a very reasonable, it's actually less than it was last year. I don't know how they stay in business at this price, but it's neither here nor there. But obviously they're trying to be good citizens by doing that. My real concern is, though, that I feel that public notice is just that. We need to get the word out to as many people as we can. The Wet Mountain Tribune has significantly more readership based on published circulation data by both newspapers. If we accepted the Sentinel and we as policy agreed that we would put notices in both newspapers, it still would be less than the statutory maximum, which is 44 cents. And I'm just putting that on the table as a discussion item because my concern is not I like one paper over the other, I dislike one, that has nothing to do with it. My only concern is public notice, and to get the notice out to as many people as possible. Would it make sense to appoint the lowest bid, which I think is certainly the appropriate way to do this, but also as a further discussion to say, let's put it in both papers simply because we can get more notice out to more people. So that's just a discussion item.
Sure. Okay.
It's interesting.
I will respond to that if I may. To me, this is purely a financial decision for the Board of Commissioners. So it's pretty cut and dried in my eyes that obviously it's a bid process that's designed to let those bids to the lowest bidder unless there's some extenuating circumstances. I do not see any. With respect to what you just said, I understand the readership, the subscription numbers, but I think to be wise stewards of the county's money, Commissioner Canada alluded to it earlier about interest on $2,000. I think my personal feeling is that we need to be wise stewards of our money, and I understand what you're saying, Jay, no problem with that. I clearly understand, but I think it goes against what the system is, how it's set up, what's mandated by law. If we award to both newspapers, then what is the point of the whole bid process other than trying to force them under the 44-cent cap? That's kind of my feeling on it.
That's fine. It
Yeah.
really wasn't a
No,
selecting one or the
right,
other. I
it was
think it's
the
clear cut who
discussion,
to
right,
select.
yeah,
The discussion was getting the word out.
right.
And Ms. Booba said correctly a few weeks ago, this is on a website. It can be found by anybody who needs it. So, I mean, if someone is really looking for public notices and they choose not to buy a paper, they still can get either
Sure.
paper. My thought was just it would be, we would get more visibility if we gave it to both papers, but I certainly concur with what you're saying.
All right, let me make a comment, because I hear both of you, and you're right. Yeah, that's a thought, it's an item. Tom, by law, we are obligated to go with the lowest bidder. However, there are other reasons. Think about it. If we did what Jay wants, then there's nothing to keep both the papers not bidding up to the 44 limit, period. And we would always be paying that. And in fact, in the last years, we've only had one paper that Tribune has always had it. They've always charged 44 cents. And it was never, and this is the research I've done, I think that was the only paper in the state that charged the limit, because there was competition in other areas. So when you go with both of them, you're just driving the cost up. Or if you go to the circulation argument, then only the big papers will get it, and then what's to keep them from charging 44 cents? So logically, I'm with you, Tom, and business-wise, that's just the way it is. Now, there's nothing to keep the Tribune from publishing it. I know, and I think the Sentinel lost it a year ago or something. I think they still published it at their own expense. So the Tribune can do that. It's a matter of business and how you want to go after subscribers. And that's not our job. That's your job. So,
Further discussion?
Could I just add one
Yes.
thing, because I looked into this previously, by way of example, in Pueblo, obviously the Pueblo Chieftain is by large the largest paper, but there's another paper called the Colorado Tribune that exists solely for the purpose of doing illegal publications. I think that's sort of been tradition there. That has a circulation of 400. The Chieftain has a circulation of 50 or 60,000, something like that. But the Tribune has always published illegal notices, and
yeah, I forgot you did that.
I did
Very good
that
point.
before. So its circulation is not particularly a factor. And the only ones that actually get it in Pueblo are some lawyers and realtors that have some interest in seeing those notices. That's all I had. I just wanted to throw that in.
Well, and thankfully in our community, more than just those few individuals that are interested in reading
Right.
legal notices, which is a good thing. That's one of the great things about living in this community. Further discussion? Public opinion? Or public comment, sorry. Yes, ma'am.
Just a thought, if you make it very confusing, that is the legal paper of record, and that's where people have to go to file their legal notices. So just to make it clear, right? Don't they
No,
have
no,
to file notices?
Just
not
there?
the
people, it's county business.
files its legal notices in the paper of record. People can file any way they
Anywhere.
want.
But the county, we're saying if we
Okay.
approve this,
Just the
that's
county.
where we're gonna place our.
I think, for example, a lot of the people, the ones that do all the foreclosures, all the notices that you have to publish, do they generally do that in which paper?
I'm the one that does that, and I could pick either paper because I'm not under your county
Right.
restriction, but I always go with the paper of record.
All right.
Okay, thank you. Further comment from the public? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of selecting or letting the bid for public notifications in the paper to the Sangre Crystal Sentinel, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. With one
Comment.
abstention, is that
Comment.
correct?
I'd like to abstain because of my conflict of interest, but I feel this is the right move. I just want to tell you that.
That brings up a question, Jay,
Okay.
after we vote. So
Okay, yeah, we're in the middle of a vote.
So I
Opposed?
abstain.
Abstentions?
I abstain.
Motion carries, 2 votes for, 1 abstained. Let the record show that the Sangre Crystal Sentinel will be our paper of record.
So this is not an agenda item, or I don't want to make it one, but I just want to find out, it's unfortunate you have to abstain. Is there still going to be future conflicts? Are you the lawyer for the town, or what? Or is that still an issue that could be something that we may have to address later on? Because if we don't want to do anything illegal, and we don't want to get you in a bind either, so,
Yeah.
and it's a disservice to your...
The only items that I'm aware of where I will abstain, I abstained when the town of West Cliff was signing a contract with the sheriff's department because I was intimately involved in that. I abstained from the newspaper because as a private attorney I represented the West Mountain Tribune to try and convince the Board of County Commissioners prior to me being a commissioner to choose them as the count of the record. As far as I know, I am not aware of any other conflicts that I have at this point. There certainly could be others, and if there are, I will recuse myself, as I did today. I will never attempt to sway anything on a vote that I have a conflict of interest in.
Okay, yeah, see, I worry about it because if we were in a situation where town needs to have some money for something that we want to, like tennis courts, that to me would be a conflict of interest,
I disagree.
wouldn't it? Because you're representing the town.
I'm not representing the town in terms of tennis courts.
Right.
I'm representing the town in legal aspects. So if there's a legal aspect of the town that it comes before the Board of County Commissioners, and it's something that I've been involved in, I will recuse myself.
I'd understood
Since I've
that.
been here, the only time between the town and the county that I have recused myself is the sheriff's contract.
Okay. Yeah, I'd understood that the city of Silver Cliff had decided, I don't even know what the lawyer was for that. They asked him to resign because they didn't want to deal with that issue, I heard. Is that true?
Who was that?
I don't know. I don't know who it was.
Say that again?
Whoever represented the town of Silver Cliff.
Was also the county attorney? Is that what you're saying? Yeah, I don't know that.
I don't know who it was. Anyway, bottom line is it a big deal? Why wouldn't you? I hate to see you not be able to represent your people, and Mike Carey, Tom and I, you could be a swing vote, and that just to me is a disservice, and we need you to be able to have that input. That's all my
Well,
thing. So we can deal with that later.
Yeah, I mean, just
I'm
to
worried.
comment, I follow the rules of legal procedure that preclude conflicts of interest, and they're very, very explicit. They're very lengthy, and the legal profession is very concerned about representing two sides of the same issue, and the key to it is the same issue. Just because I represent the town doesn't mean I'm going to represent the town on the same issue as presented that needs a vote.
I understand.
here.
I just, if your constituency's happy with you not voting, that's okay. But I'd worry about that.
Well, that's the way it is.
I also would like to have a little bit of discussion. Clinton would like to involve you in this. It's a little awkward because by statutes, Colorado Sunshine Law being the biggest one, we can't have these discussions unless we're in a meeting. So I know the day's going to get long, but I want to dovetail on this a little bit too, because this is the only chance we get to talk about this legally.
Yeah, we can't talk to each other, and we don't. We won't.
I guess my question, and because the topic came up, I do not want you to take this as a challenge. I want you to take this as an opportunity for us to have a discussion about this. I don't know the answer to this question that I'm going to ask, or I wouldn't ask it. And we'll just use this as an example, if that's okay with you, Jay, about the newspaper thing. If an individual, could be any of us, recuse ourselves from the vote, I don't know the guidelines, rules, or laws concerning discussion. And I guess here's where I'm coming from. Let's say that I'm going to recuse myself from a vote on a certain item, but I'm allowed to debate and discuss that and try to convince my fellow commissioners how to vote, but I'm not voting myself. I get a mixed message there. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand your mixed message, but it's perfectly legal for me to discuss the
Okay.
items
Okay.
as I did today.
Yeah.
It is not legal for
Yeah.
me or may be a violation of the ethics code. There's no law.
No law.
This is a legal
Okay,
ethics
that's right, it is.
issue.
Yeah.
And I feel I'd be violating a ethical duty that I have as an attorney to vote.
Okay.
However, to voice my opinion, I have the absolute right to do that at any time.
Good. And that was what clarification I was looking for. Clint, you on board with that?
Right.
I know ex officio members in meetings get to voice their opinions till they can turn blue in the face and then don't vote, so.
Yeah, and
it does happen.
Jay's governed by he's the legal code of ethics as an attorney, and then the code of ethics has been adopted by the state of Colorado for all elected officials, so he has to follow both those. You're governed just by the one since you're not attorneys.
So from a conflict of interest point of view, there's no statutory anything that would stop a commissioner from being involved on any project and then voting to do it.
Well, the code of ethics is incorporated into the Colorado Constitution for the elected officials. I mean, that's your call initially, but if somebody challenges you on it or chooses to take you to court on it,
Yeah.
then there could be a judicial determination at some point whether you stepped over the line. But initially, it's your decision whether or not you feel that there's a conflict sufficient for you to disqualify yourselves from voting on something.
And again, I apologize if I come across as challenging your participation in the discussion. It just brought to my mind where the line is or whatever, and I certainly accept what you're saying. Don't have a problem with that. Yes, ma'am.
Can I just say one thing? I understand that you had to follow statutes. I understand that. With the lowest bidder. There's no way on God's green earth the Tribune can ever compete with how low they go. Because I do, like Commissioner Printz said, how do they make money? How can they afford to do it? There's no way.
Yeah.
I would hope maybe in the future there are other guidelines that could be considered because to be more fair, I would say, because everyone else advertises their legals with the Tribune. And the county is the only one that doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, that's why the whole bid process is in statutes. There's no fairer way to select out of more than one competitor on anything than low bid if it involves money, so. Okay, point heard, thank you.